first day of kindergarten, do you remember how scary it is walking into a brand new, huge school that you've never been to before? Do you remember your cool new Superman lunchbox or your Barbie lunch pail? Or did you go through the school line? Were you excited for recess or art and music? Well, for Mark, a kindergartner at my small Christian school, he was excited for the book fair. Mark enjoyed reading, and he could spend all day in the library. He spent the entire day the book fair first opened, picking out the new, perfect books to go on his bookshelf at his house. Once he collected his 6 favorite books, he headed to the counter to pay the librarian. Once she rang up his total, he handed her his bright, shiny, brand new $1 million bill. Sadly, the librarian had to tell him the news that that is not valid U.S. currency. Crying, he went back to the classroom, but was stopped by a 6th grader named Evan. Evan, afraid that he was hurt, asked him what was wrong, asking if he could help in any way. Mark just told him that he had play money and didn't have any real money for his books. Evan, without any hesitation, opened up his wallet and handed him a brand new $20 bill and said, "Go buy your books." Evan went the second mile. In Mark chapter 5, Jesus is on his way home from the region of Gerasenes when he is stopped by a synagogue leader named Jairus. Jairus has a daughter who is dying at his house, and he asks Jesus to come heal her before she dies. A large crowd surrounds Jesus as he's on his way to heal Jairus' daughter. And among the crowd, there's a woman who's been bleeding for 12 years. She's been to every doctor and paid every single cent she has had to try to get better, but the doctors have only made things worse. And Mark says in chapter 5, verses 27 through 28, she heard about Jesus, so she came up behind him and touched his robe. For she thought to herself, if I can just touch the edge of his robe, I will be healed. Once she had touched his robe, she immediately knew that she was healed and that the bleeding had stopped. In verses 30 through 34, it says, Jesus realized at once that healing power had gone from him. So he turned around and asked, "Who touched me?" His disciples said to him, "Look at the crowds that surround you. How can you ask, 'Who touched me?' There are hundreds of people here." But Jesus kept on asking. The woman, frightened, fell before Jesus' feet and told him what she had done. And he said, "Woman, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Jesus knew who touched him. He did not need to turn around to see the woman who had been bleeding for 12 years. But he turned around to make sure that the woman knew that her faith had healed her, not just from her bleeding, but also from her sins. Jesus was on his way to do a good deed, and it would have been a lot easier if he could have just kept going without talking to the woman. But Jesus went the extra mile to stop and turn around and talk to the woman. Going the extra mile doesn't mean we have to go to a foreign country and spend the rest of our lives there. It is as simple as stopping what we're doing and making time for someone else rather than for ourselves.